Hey, I'm Sam and I do design. In the video today, I'm going to be seeing if I would employ myself. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what a CV and portfolio is, as a designer, it's going to be your first impression, so you need to leave a good mark. A CV and portfolio is what lets you show your best work and shows what you're made of as a designer. So to apply for a job, what you're going to do is send over your CV, send over your portfolio, potentially a cover letter. So in this video today, I'm going to go through my CV and my portfolio that I used to get my internship at Precipice Design. This hasn't been updated since around about late 2016, potentially early 2017. No, this hasn't been updated since early 2016, and I haven't really seen it since. So let's see if I would employ myself after looking through it now that I'm on the other side of the table. So what I'm going to do now is simulate how fast people look through these CVs and portfolios when they're looking for people to employ. Don't forget that they might have hundreds of applications depending on how big the company is, so they're going to go through things really quick. So right now I've opened up my CV, and as you can see, really bullet pointed lists, but this is how quick we'll go through it. CV, great, portfolio, yeah. Right, done. Close, next person. That's how fast they'll go through a portfolio. If anything stuck out in that flick through, that's when you start to look deeper at the portfolio, but you need to impress by going through the portfolio that quick. So now we'll go back up to the top and we'll start debating whether it's a good portfolio and CV or not. Here we got my CV, which is a bullet pointed list essentially of who I am, what my skills are, education, experience, any awards, and general interest as well. So you're going to want to sell yourself as much as possible in a short amount of time as possible as well. Some people like to do 2 pages for a CV. I've stuck to 1, and I would absolutely recommend that you stick to 1. I don't think anyone has as much experience that you need 2 pages of a CV. The key to the CV is keeping it as concise as possible. If you're submitting a 2 or 3 page CV, chances are the jobs that you've put on there aren't as relevant as you think to the job you're applying for. Only keep it relevant to the job you're applying for. You should do a custom CV for every single company you apply. So anyway, with that out of the way, that was a big rant. I'm looking here and it's bullet pointed over on the experience. Sure, these should probably be bigger to really hone in on what the experience was. It is slightly a weird layout that I've got, these don't read very well because the start word is always in a different place of the line. So graphically, maybe not the best, sure, but it's quite clear, that's fine. There's an attempt up here at some personal branding, but that's fine. It tidies up the top area and gives it, it anchors the whole page together. Overall, not a bad CV. I'd like to take a crack at this again, maybe to see if I improved so much. But yeah, this is the main thing about a CV. Keep it short, keep it bullet points. Don't write paragraphs, because like we saw before, skipping through all those things, you're not going to see them. Okay, so onto the portfolio. But this is a really old typographical art piece that I did. I don't know if you can tell with this amazing Photoshop work, but I didn't actually print that off. That's a mock-up. You'd never have thought it. But yeah, it's quite a plain first page. Lets them know who I am, what this is. It's a portfolio and my website if they want to check out more. And the front page. Let's go over to... And this is how I would have intended them to read it. This is actually a good time to point this out as well. You cannot control how the person you're viewing your portfolio will be viewing it, unless it's online, unless it's on a website. But for example, I intended this portfolio to be viewed 1 page at a time. And even on my own laptop, it was set up to do spreads. So the intention there was to show it as a slideshow type thing, and it really wasn't like that. So you need to bear this in mind whenever you're doing your portfolio. You need to make sure it's presented how you intended it to be presented. So a quick contents page here, minimal, short, not really going to read that. Shiny image here of my work at Paul Cox's studio. Name dropped some stuff over here for one of the projects at Paul Cox's studio for a sports shop. So not really linked to Nike, Adidas and Asics at all, but I name dropped in there. Probably shouldn't really have done that. Paul Cox's studio shop, yeah, worked there. Studio, yeah, helped do the development for Freedom Bender, sure. This project didn't really go ahead. I'm going to blur that out so you guys don't see it. But yeah, I'm not going to read that paragraph either, that's a lot. Rise and Shine Coffee House. Oh, I remember this project. This was a personal project of mine, which I think is amazing to put into portfolios to show that you're not just doing your uni work, you're not just doing all the same work as everyone else, but you're actually putting in some extra effort and doing your own stuff as well. I remember as a quick attempt to show some iterations, I did this page here, and I'll pick up again on this in a little bit, and then a hero image here. I think that's quite nice. I'm not going to read this too much text. Okay, so this is some more development showing potentially I do some thumbnail images. Great, handwriting terrible. Some interior design shots. So this was a really early attempt at building an interior scene and lighting it and rendering it. Put it into perspective and context. I think it's pointless, absolutely pointless now looking back. I'm showing a little bit of the logo here. I'm showing a little bit of the logo over here. But actually, really, there's nothing else that would show that it's from that. I think if you're going to show in-context shots, you need to really prepare to focus fully on your design, not putting it in a scene really small so you can't tell. Okay, Fifi's Paradise, another personal project. This is while I was doing some freelancing, and this is actually the project that Precipice saw and made them interested in me. Like I said, it's not just a bog standard university project that everyone's going to be showing. It's something slightly different. So something else that you'll notice as well is I always start each project with a hero image and then go through later on and show more about the iteration and stuff like that. That is really important because if I showed you this first and then talked about this for ages, you wouldn't really know where it was going. Whereas if I show you this first, you know that's the end goal and this is where I've come from, and that's a much better way of doing it. Okay, so another personal project of mine was the Without Fidel album cover for their record that they had out. So this is slightly better. I'd get a better image of this if possible. I know that this was sent to me from the band, so I did my best with photoshopping the colors to make it neutral. You know, it's fine. So I'd get a better image of that if possible. Over here I've mocked up what that album looks like on the iPhone, which dates the image already because we've got the headphone jack down here. So that shows just how early this portfolio was. Yeah, I'm not really reading that. Oh, some very early Sam Does Design sketches. Wow, I put this in a portfolio. So one of the reasons that I started Sam Does Design was because the creative director at Precipice, while I was in the interview, looked me in the eye and he said, "Do you think you'd ever get better at sketching?" Or something like, "Do you think you'd ever be good enough at sketching to show people?" Or something, I don't know what it was, but I left that meeting thinking that I didn't get the job because I wasn't a good enough sketcher. That's not the case. I got the job, and I always maintain that you don't need to be a good sketcher to be a good designer. But like I said before, only show your best work in your portfolio, and this definitely isn't. So this is a university project. Again, sure, in context, that's fine. Not really sure what this is. Looking back on it now, I know it's our logo that we made up for it. But, you know, some quick renders. It's not great renders at all. Again, here are some blurry sketches going off into the distance because I'm not confident enough at sketching. In my mind, this was showing my sketches, but looking at it now, you can't really tell what these are. So, sure, showing it in workshops, I made it, fine. Some lighting projects showing that I was featured in the Made in Brunel magazine at the time. I was really excited about that. No idea why I've got this image here. That doesn't show anything apart from a dirty weld and the cord. So I should have taken a better photo of that. This isn't bad. You can tell it's a render from university, but sure. Yeah, not great renders, but again, I was learning. This is showing the principle behind it. I'd show this a little bit more clearly. This project, I can't even remember. I think I put this in because I needed some more pages for the portfolio. Never do that. If you're not prepared to talk about your projects in detail, don't put them in your portfolio. Okay, so this is some more in context shots of another university project. So not only was this project in groups, but we also worked with another group of students as well. So actually there was 12 people working on this project. We designed one thing and they made it. They designed one thing and we made it. But that means that as an employer, you can never tell what that specific person did within that group. So sure, it's showing some in-context shots, slightly blurry, whatever, but you can't employ someone based on group projects like this unless you're absolutely certain what that student did. So another university project, looking at a reusable coffee cup sleeve to stop your hands from getting too hot and to keep the product warm as well. Yeah, showing, okay, weird layout. So this is the thing, I've used the same layout throughout the whole portfolio, right? And then suddenly you get to this page and I think I'd seen something on Pinterest where elements were all over the place to give it some more shape, but it doesn't really work because I've been using such a rigid layout throughout. So yeah, that's fine. Oh, and then we're at the end anyway. Thank you for the consideration. Great. So this is the portfolio that got me the job, so it must have done something right. Like I said, it was probably all of the personal projects that I put in it. And these don't need to be for real clients. Fifi's Paradise was for a real client. Without Fidel was a real client. But Rise and Shine was just something that I made up completely. I thought it'd be a nice name for a coffee shop. And yeah, this is something that I quite like as a project. But it just goes to show you don't need a real world project to put it in your portfolio. It just needs to be something that you've done. So as a quick sum up, make sure that your portfolio impresses people with a quick flick through up to 5 seconds. Next, only use bullet points and really make sure your CV is to the point and gets the point across really quickly. For your portfolio, only show your best work. Don't forget to show your hero image first and then show your iterations. That's going to tell your employer the end goal a lot more effectively and then show you how you got to that instead of just meandering through with iterations without really knowing what the end goal is. And keep it clean and keep it with as little text as possible. I haven't read any of this and I wrote it. But I can get from the images what the sort of project is about, how far each project got. So write as little as possible whenever you put in a new project. You need to be able to tell the story with your images, not your words. Yeah, I think it's been interesting to go through my old portfolio. I'd like to see how that would progress if I did one now that I've got so much more experience and so many more design projects under my belt. So let me know down in the comments, would you employ me? Would you fire me, hire me? Tips for the portfolio if you think you have any more as well. I'd love to read them down in the comments. And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell button if you want to see future stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.